Sagittarius, something monumental is touching down this period. An enormous influx of cosmic flow and elevated opportunity. But here's the truth. You must stay discreet. Not a word, not a grand announcement. This isn't just a material reward. It's a spiritual authorization for your next great journey written in your name and sanctioned by the higher courts of the universe. If you've ever felt tethered, limited, or stuck in the small picture, let this moment be your confirmation that you were simply being positioned to receive the expansive truth that others could never have reached. If you're watching this right now, your soul has responded to a higher philosophical call. This message has been encoded into your destiny since the moment you chose not to give up on your biggest dreams. When the world told you to be realistic, when you chose to trust the great unseen vision, to pursue wisdom, when it made no conventional sense, and to explore without applause, heaven was watching. And now, Sagittarius, your moment of boundless expansion has arrived. Astrologically, the expansive energy of Jupiter, your ruling planet, is completing a rare karmic cycle, opening a celestial portal that few will even perceive. But you, a sign born for the quest for truth, feel it like a clear directional pull in your spirit. Tarot confirms this shift with the Wheel of Fortune. As your divine ruling card this season, a cosmic cycle has completed. The karmic tether of limitation you didn't even know you filed a complaint against has now spun decisively in your favor. The payout is massive, not just in cash, but in limitless opportunity and spiritual access. But here's the sacred clause. No one can know the full vision yet. The star whispers now, not with mystery, but with pure flowing instruction. Keep it sacred. Your discretion is not a denial. It's your directional focus. It's the shield that keeps your forward momentum from being hijacked energetically before it even launches. And the moment you try to explain this to people who were never spiritually clear enough to grasp your vision, you create leaks in your blessing. Remember, Sagittarius, not everything sacred needs to be announced. Some things are sealed in inner faith and blessed by heaven because of it. So if your spirit has felt unusually ready for the next big leap, if you've sensed an opportunity coming without knowing how or why, trust that the energy of this blessing is already entering your field. It's not just wealth. It's wealth that carries a blueprint for freedom. Use it for the higher purpose or it will feel stagnant. Align with its divine code of expansion and it will multiply. Take a deep breath with me now. You are safe. You are seen. You are sovereign. And you are no longer constrained by the small picture. You are the one being invited in. You've been entrusted with something the world cannot see yet. But in the spirit realm, it's already yours. Before we go further, let me thank you from the deepest part of my heart for showing up here. Every like, every comment, every subscription connects you deeper into the sacred energy of this space. Your support fuels this channel, Cosmic Treasure, and allows us to bring more messages like this to you. And believe me, Sagittarius, you'll want to stay with me until the very last second of this video. Because what the universe is about to reveal is nothing short of miraculous expansion. Now, tell me in the comments what pulled you here today. And if your spirit is whispering, yes, type it. Clearly, I trust the timing. I move in faith. The gates of true wisdom are open. Let's walk in. Imagine, dear Sagittarius, that the cosmos has been silently watching, not with indifference, but with reverence, documenting each silent quest for truth, each long night of philosophizing. Every time you held a massive vision when no one else could see it. For years, maybe even lifetimes, you've been carrying the torch of hope. And yet, nothing was ever lost, not to the universe. Every moment of faith, every bold step, every decision to believe in the bigger picture has been carefully logged, not in punishment, but as evidence in your favor. And now the case has reached its divine verdict. When the Wheel of Fortune appears in a reading, especially in your energetic field, it does not just signal luck. It declares divine recognition of your alignment. It whispers, "You were right to keep aiming higher." It is the symbol of a spiritual cycle completion and the announcement that heaven has ruled on behalf of your highest potential. In this context, the wheel doesn't just spin, it liberates. It says that your soul has stood trial not for guilt, but for universal truth, and it has been vindicated. Astrologically, the completion of this rare cycle involving Jupiter this season is no coincidence. This is a gateway alignment, one that triggers long-standing karmic opportunities to be released, especially for those like you who have lived by the law of faith and honesty. It is as if your spiritual credit score has been quietly climbing in the background, fueled by your optimism. And now the payout is being released, not as a windfall, but as a rightful inheritance of freedom. Your spiritual endurance has accumulated interest. When I say an enormous amount of cosmic flow is landing, I don't just mean literal currency, though that too is part of it. I mean energy returning to you that had been delayed, blocked, or rerouted by doubt, limited thinking, or simple injustice. And yes, money is a carrier of that energy in our world. That's why it matters. What's coming is not a prize, it's compensation. It's back pay for holding on to your light and your high vision in the dark. Think about the moments where you settled for the safe route instead of the true journey. The rooms where your desire for truth was minimized. Your optimism denied, your presence diminished. Those moments did not go unnoticed. They were recorded in the vibrational records of the universe, and not just the actions of others, but your response, your refusal to become cynical, your choice to rise quietly, your decision to believe in goodness even when it wasn't being mirrored back to you. In this light, the universe itself becomes a sacred legal system, not one of punishment, but of equilibrium. You never needed to prove your worth. You just needed to stay aligned with your internal compass. And now, because you did, the energetic verdict is in. You are owed deeply and completely. There's a verse in Scripture that echoes this moment perfectly. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." This is that time, Sagittarius, the reaping has begun. And perhaps the most beautiful part, you don't need to explain this blessing to anyone. You don't need to justify why it's you. The seed you planted in faith is blooming in discretion. It is not your job to convince others that you deserve this. It is your job to receive it in stillness, to honor what you've become in the process of waiting. So, take a breath. Let this truth settle into your body. And if this part of the message has awakened something deep inside you, leave your signature in the comments below. Let your soul say clearly, "I lived in truth, and now I receive all that was delayed." You're not just reclaiming what was taken. You're anchoring a new rhythm of justice for yourself and for every soul watching. What's arriving for you now isn't just a transfer of wealth. It's a sacred turning point, a moment where your relationship with abundance shifts from external pursuit to internal guiding alignment. And in this delicate in-between, discretion becomes not just a suggestion, but a sacred strategy. The star doesn't speak. She reveals through presence, intuition, and timing. And right now, you are being asked to embody her essence, to become the keeper of your own vision. In the language of tarot, the star pours the waters of life, symbolizing the flow of universal energy, connecting the mystical to the material. When she arrives in your reading, especially in a financial context, she brings one message. What is powerful must be protected. What is sacred must be shielded, and what is forming must not be exposed to the heavy air of other people's limited beliefs too soon. You see, not every vibration is meant to witness your becoming. Energetically, what you're manifesting now, this shocking amount of cosmic flow, is not just money. It's coded energy. It carries the frequency of truth, of divine alignment, of delayed compensation, finding its way back to its rightful owner. But it is delicate in its initial stages, like a seed freshly planted in rich soil. If you dig it up too soon to show the world what you're growing, you kill the very process meant to sustain you. This is why discretion matters, not as a burden, but as a form of spiritual insulation. A womb where the miracle can develop without interference. The Eight of Wands reversed and the Five of Swords are here not to frighten you, but to wake you up to the dynamics at play. These cards speak to energetic delay, to clinging to the need to prove a point to shadows that creep in when light is too exposed. If you've ever shared exciting news, only to watch it unravel mysteriously, you already know this truth. Not everyone is meant to hold space for your expansion. Some will hear your good fortune and begin unconsciously, or not to leak their fear and small-mindedness into your timeline. Their doubt becomes static. Their envy becomes corrosion. That's not your punishment. It's just spiritual physics. Keeping silent doesn't mean being isolated. It means you are becoming wise enough to protect your field. You are learning that validation doesn't come from announcing your blessings. It comes from trusting them enough to nurture them in private. Sagittarius, you are charting a new course, and the foundation of this course is made of energy, of intent, of sacred design. The less you explain it, the more powerfully it launches. In our modern world, it's tempting to overshare. Social platforms encourage instant proof, fast validation, constant updates. But what's happening in your life now moves on ancient rhythms, not algorithms. This isn't for the feed. This is for the foundation. And you are not being called to perform. You are being invited to embody. As your journey deepens, the question becomes, can you be trusted with the invisible? Can you hold this flow without broadcasting it? Can you recognize that the energy of money is listening and it responds to reverence, not noise? So today, as you sit in this threshold moment, let discretion be your shield. Let inner faith be your devotion. Type a 999 in the comments. If you commit to guarding your blessing with grace, write, I stay silent and I receive. Let the universe know that you are not just ready to be blessed, you are ready to honor the responsibility that comes with it, because some blessings are so powerful they bloom best in the dark. Sagittarius, what's unfolding in your life now is not the kind of prosperity that comes with paychecks or promotions. It is something far more sacred, far more intelligent, and infinitely more transformative. This is not just money. It's energetic currency. And like all energy, it is responsive. It listens, it remembers, and it reflects the state of the one who holds it. That's why what's coming to you must be handled with reverence, not reaction. You're not receiving ordinary cash. You're being entrusted with a living code, one that carries the blueprint for a future only your soul was designed to build. You've likely felt it already, that quiet inner shift where your priorities are being reorganized. The things that once excited you feel too small. The places where you used to seek validation now feel empty. That's because this blessing isn't meant to soothe your ego. It's meant to awaken your deeper purpose. Energetic wealth doesn't come to satisfy cravings. It comes to fund divine assignments. And the moment you use this resource to appease old emotional wounds, prove yourself to others, or fix problems that are not yours to carry, it begins to dissipate. Not as punishment, but because its frequency can only thrive in clean, intentional space. Think of it this way. This money is not a reward. It is a tool, not for display, but for destiny. If you treat it like a trophy, it will eventually collect dust. But if you treat it like a sacred seed planted in the soil of alignment, it will grow into forests of abundance. That is the difference between fleeting wealth and sustained prosperity. The former feeds the surface. The latter nourishes the soul. Right now, the cosmos is aligning you with very specific choices. subtle opportunities will start to appear. A property in a new location, a space to host your philosophy or teaching work, a journey or teacher who resonates with your deepest longing. These are not random. They are divine nudges, guiding you to place this energy where it can multiply. And you will know the right choice by how it feels, not in your mind but in your body. There will be a spaciousness, a deep breath of knowing, a peace that requires no explanation. In astrology, we understand that energy moves in spirals, not straight lines. This means your past suffering wasn't wasted, it was refinement. Every moment of limitation taught you how to recognize true freedom. Every boundary you had to set gave you clarity on what is worthy of your time, your presence, and your energy. Now, as this abundance prepares to land, you are no longer a passive receiver. You are a sacred steward, and the universe is watching not just what you receive, but how you handle what's given. There is deep wisdom in restraint, choosing not to buy something flashy, not to rush into generosity out of guilt, not to seek approval through financial decisions. These are acts of spiritual maturity. True prosperity is quiet. It is anchored, not paraded. And when you operate from that place, the flow never stops. In fact, it grows. If you're wondering how to keep this energy aligned, think of what keeps your soul clean: gratitude, clarity, intention, but above all, consistency. The kind of quiet consistency that says, I know what this is, and I will not waste it. The colors, azure blue, deep orange, and pure white, are aligning with your aura now. They carry frequencies of truth, vision, and optimism. Surround yourself with these hues. Let them become reminders of who you are becoming and what you are building. And if you ever doubt that you're ready to handle this, remember the words from Jeremiah 2091, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you a future and a hope." These plans are unfolding now, not with noise, but with precision. You are not just being gifted resources, you are being trusted with the future. Treat it like the sacred appointment it truly is. Sagittarius, by now you may feel the unmistakable shift not only in your external life, but in your internal landscape, when something sacred begins to take form, especially something as energetically charged as a divine financial blessing. It doesn't just attract opportunity, it also draws attention. Attention from people, patterns, and energies that once felt familiar but were never meant to walk with you into this next chapter. This is where your discernment becomes your most vital spiritual tool, because not everyone from your past is meant to go where you're headed, and some will return, not because they have changed, but because your light has. There's a moment in every transformation when the soul must choose between comfort and calling, between familiar chaos and holy order, between emotional obligation and sacred assignment. This is that moment for you. The old connections that once kept you tethered through guilt, emotional manipulation, or nostalgia will suddenly resurface. You'll receive the "I've been thinking about you" text, the unexpected apology, or the carefully wrapped request for help. But understand this, not every reconnection is divine. Some are simply energetic probes, testing whether you've really severed the ties that once drained you. In energy work, we often talk about cords, those unseen threads that link us to people, places, and memories. Some cords nourish, but others, especially those rooted in pain, resentment, or unresolved history, continue to pull energy long after the relationship has ended. And now, as you stand at the gateway of blessing, the universe is inviting you to perform an energetic audit. Ask yourself honestly, who still has access to your heart, your attention, your time, simply because of who they once were to you? And do they still deserve it? This isn't about being cruel. It's about being clean. Clean in your energy, clear in your mission, committed to the sanctuary of your soul. You are not rejecting people out of pride. You are protecting the energetic temple that now holds divine wealth. You cannot fund the emotional cycles of others with resources meant to rebuild your destiny. You cannot pour sacred oil into cracked vessels that refuse to hold healing. And you must stop explaining your boundaries to those who only honored you when you had nothing to give. Your no now is not a wall. It's a gate. A gate that filters energy based on frequency, not familiarity. You don't owe access to those who used your kindness against you. You don't owe explanations to those who misjudged your spirit. And you don't owe pieces of your future to those who helped stifle your past. You are not the same person they knew. You've been refined by the fire, and your mission is too important to be diluted by emotional debt. Let this be your technique. No explanation, no apology, no return. That's not coldness. That's alignment. That's choosing purpose over performance. And it's the only way to stay rooted when the past comes knocking with a sweet voice and a heavy hand. If you've ever experienced someone who only showed up when you had something to give, this is your moment to reclaim your power. Drop into the comments and declare it aloud. I cut old energy cords to protect my new mission. Because sometimes healing is not about reconciling with the past. It's about recognizing that you've outgrown it and choosing to move forward, clean and unbound. You are not just receiving a blessing. You are becoming a guardian of it. And part of that guardianship is knowing who no longer belongs within your sacred gates. Sagittarius, this is the moment where everything you've survived, everything you waited for, and everything you were made for begins to take shape. The energy that has been circling your field for weeks, quiet, pulsing, intentional, is now ready to anchor. This is no longer a time for dreaming. It's time to build. And you're not building just anything. You're building your kingdom, a sanctuary forged from the truth of who you've become and the authority you finally reclaimed. When the Emperor appears beside the Ace of Pentacles, it is not a passive message. It's a directive. The Emperor is not handed his throne. He becomes it. He doesn't wait for validation. He takes action from a grounded sense of inner truth. And the Ace of Pentacles, that's the seed, the divine currency, the opportunity, the resource that has now been placed in your hand. But what you do with it determines everything. This wealth is not here to rescue you. It is here to be used not for escape, not to retreat into safety, but to construct and create from intention, from vision, and from soul-aligned leadership. That journey you wrote down years ago and never booked, that educational course that lives in your vision board, or the philosophical project you felt called to birth, but were waiting for the right time. Sagittarius, this is the right time. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are finally ready to lead, to trust yourself, to act not out of fear, but out of faith in who you've become. But here's the key. Building a kingdom requires both inner and outer discipline. That's where spiritual maturity and self-responsibility meet. Right now, you must care for your vessel, not just for your health, but to sustain the energetic frequency this new assignment requires. Care for your vessel as a king would his castle. Add more movement to your routine to keep the energy flowing. This is key for a Sagittarian spirit. Reduce exposure to conventional media. It scrambles your spiritual frequency and makes it harder to hear divine instruction. Add a clarity practice. Meditation. Journaling to ground your inner circuitry so you can move from a place of vision, not urgency. Mentally carve out 5 quiet minutes each morning to write 1 page. Begin with the simple phrase, I choose expansion. It's not about what you write next. It's about anchoring your day in intention. That's where real creation begins, from inner alignment, not outer noise. Financially, open a new account. Not one you use to pay bills or buy groceries, but one you label intentionally. Divine Fund, Sacred Project, or Mission Wealth. Start channeling part of this blessing into that account. Even if it's just a small amount each week, it tells the universe, I am serious about building. I am ready to multiply what has been given in love. The rule is simple. If they do not honor your silence, your truth, or your mission, they do not belong in your sacred circle. Love that demands you shrink is not love. Love that interrupts your stillness is not safe. The next version of you cannot afford the distraction of connection that drains more than it nourishes. Your light is too precious to be dimmed by misunderstanding. You are not just rising into leadership. You are the foundation, and everything you do from this point on must reflect that. No more asking for permission. No more waiting to be chosen. You have already been given the throne. Now it's time to sit in it and start building the future only you were born to design. The blessing has landed. The silence has been honored. The resources are in hand. Now, Sagittarius, build what your soul came here to build. Sagittarius, take a breath with me. You've made it to the end. But really, this is only the beginning. What you're standing in now is not just the aftermath of struggle. It's the threshold of sovereignty. You no longer need to seek permission to dream, to lead, or to receive. You've earned your place not by loud declarations, but through quiet resilience and unwavering faith. The world may not understand how you got here, but the universe does. And it's already handed you the keys. This kingdom that's forming isn't a fantasy. It's a reality being built brick by sacred brick. With every choice you make in alignment, it won't look like everyone else's version of success. It's more subtle, more intentional, and infinitely more powerful because it's yours. You don't need to flash your blessings, you just need to walk in them. Every step you take in peace is a declaration that you are done living in survival mode. Every act of discretion is a shield around your mission. And every dollar you receive is not a prize. It's a tool to expand the vision seated in you long ago. So let me ask you softly but clearly. Are you ready to receive without seeking approval? Are you willing to build without explaining? Are you able to protect what is sacred even when no one else sees it yet? These aren't just reflective questions. They are spiritual initiations. They are what separate those who hope from those who step into alignment and claim what has always been theirs. Remember, Sagittarius, you are no longer applying for life. You are designing it. So if your soul knows this moment is real, if something deep inside you is saying, this message is mine, then write it into the ground right now in the comments below. Declare, I am ready to receive without showing off. And if you feel the pulse of divine abundance flowing into your body as you read this, anchor it by typing the number 999, the sacred code of limitless soul wealth. And before we part for today, let me pause to offer my sincere gratitude. Thank you for your presence here. Thank you for your trust, for your light, and for every single time you like, comment, share, or subscribe. Your energy fuels this sacred space we call cosmic treasure. You are part of a community where souls are not just watching content, they are co-creating destiny. Your support allows us to keep bringing these transformative messages to you and to others who need them most. So don't rush away. Sit with what you've heard. Let it settle like a seed in rich soil. And when you're ready, come back to this video, this channel, this family again and again. A place of wisdom, healing, and soul remembering. You've already begun. Now, let's build what only you were born to create. The kingdom is ready. The question is, are you ready to reign?